other than being a little bit maybe immature in the way that they think and feel and communicate. So with the Hierophant here, we're talking about, first of all, commitment, wanting to have, the traditional relationship. And what I mean by that is that people know that you're together, right? Wanting to have that kind of relationship where there could be a stronger commitment here. And I don't necessarily think that you're dealing with a person who has commitment issues, but I think that you are coming from a place of having better understanding of what it takes to make a relationship work. Okay. So you coming into it with the Ace of Wands, we're talking about a new beginning that may be happening with this person here. Clearly, there's a lot of passion and there's a lot of want to act toward this. The Three of Wands on their side, I think, is them waiting for you to initiate this. Now, and clearly they want to see where things are going to go here. They want to see how things are going to develop. But I think that they're looking at it from a perspective of, I've already kind of like set things into motion. I'm just waiting on them to accept an opportunity, which can be the case. You, though, move into the Page of Swords. They're showing the Page of Cups. So there's clearly going to be some communication that's going back and forth here. This person may be expressing some emotions that are being restored, or some new emotions that they may have in regards to you in the relationship. But you have some questions. And unfortunately, when the Page of Swords shows up, it tends to show that a lot of times, no matter, how many times you ask, the information that is given to you just isn't, enough. It doesn't clear things up enough. But clearly there are some things that, you have questions about here in regards to this person and the way that they feel and what they're communicating to you. With the Hermit, this is where, I really think that there's a lot of wisdom, especially with the Empress coming out on your side, as far as what it takes to, make a relationship work here. There's been a lot of, learning here. Not just, with the Hierophant here, but in terms of the Hermit, I think that you have spent quite a bit of time, like, doing things kind of like on your own and trying to figure out, what you really need, what you really want. But it also shows that you're kind of like doing things on your own in terms of the relationship, which makes me wonder, when was the last time that you had contact with this person? Distance, in a very different way than the Chariot is kind of showing up here. Especially with the Three of Wands kind of kicking it off on their part. Are they waiting for you to come see them? Possible. But with the Hermit here, you're kind of like on your own in this relationship, or you're just needing to kind of figure things out, especially if you're not getting the answers that, clear things up for you. With the Page of Wands, though, they're still communicating to you. They may be wanting you to go and see them, which can be the case here. But there is, this new passion and new emotion that's being built up on their side. And I think that they may be communicating to you. They're communicating all of this to you, but they're doing it in a way where I think that you're looking at them as they're being, not very realistic, I don't think, about what it takes to make a relationship work, where you are coming from a place where you already understand that. So now with the Empress, I think that there's a part of you that is very caring, giving, nurturing, and wanting to give to this person. But the thing is you're not their mother. And you are showing that with the Queen of Swords, right? I think that, you're being very direct with this person, and you don't want to play these kinds of games anymore with this kind of like flirty communication and, having these emotions expressed if they're not going to follow through, because they're already showing that they're expecting you to do something in this situation. But I think that there is something that you can give this person that I think that they know that they can't get anywhere else. Because I think that they're wanting you to fulfill them in a way that makes them feel good. But, we're not playing games here. Again, whether you're male or female, I think with the Queen of Swords, you've been through enough bad experiences that you know better, and you know better than to get involved with the situation if they're just playing games, right? Which it appears that way. But the thing is with the Nine of Cups, there is something very much that they are wanting from you. So this is kind of how I'm looking at this coming out in this situation. They, unfortunately, I think may be communicating to you because they are not getting what they need from possibly another person. But I think that you're making it very clear that you don't want to be a part of, you know, a third party situation here. Unfortunately, the Three of Cups in this situation looks a little bit difficult. Well, let's explain. So first of all, with the Fool, because of the Queen of Swords being in the middle here, I don't think that you're willing to just kind of like take a risk. But I do think that you want to see them open up in a way where you can feel okay about jumping into this. But because they're showing the Nine of Wands, I think that, you know, there is a part of them that kind of like blocks you out, you know, and I think that they don't really know what they want because clearly they're still trying to figure it out. But I really think that this is something that they realize that they're only going to be able to get from you. But I don't think that they're willing to stop kind of like playing these games because they're not really, you know, showing the ability to be mature about things. Okay. So I think that, you know, there may be a part of you thinking, well, if I show them this or if I give them this, then maybe they'll open up and I'll be able to, you know, kind of like go forward with this and just jump right in, right? Because they're showing that they want something from you, but they're not letting you in though. And that may have to do with other people that you know about here. And this is the burden, the problem. And I kind of think that you may be looking at this person and their issues with other people as, you know, too much of a burden or a problem for you. Like, I can't carry this around, you know, and you may be waiting for them to kind of like drop this bullshit though too. Meanwhile, you know, this is a part of the situation that is weighing on you, but yet you are still wanting to be, you know, giving to this person, hoping that they'll get rid of this. The problem is with the Two of Pentacles, I think that they're still trying to like manage a couple of different situations, and you know about this, and it's very disappointing. And I think that you may be let down by this person because they're keeping people around that clearly are not going to give them the fulfillment that they think that they want. But I think that they know that they can only get that from you. But you're going to have to come from a very harsh place where you're letting them know, look, I'm not playing these games with you anymore. Especially if this person has put you through this a time or two, you know. But with the Hierophant, right, we could be learning through all the difficult changes that may be happening with this. But, you know, I don't know, Sag. I think that this person is going to let you down, and the more that you give of yourself and the more that they take, the more that I think that you're going to become more like shut off and bitter and like really harsh with this person. But yet it's almost like they just don't want to leave you alone. So with the King of Pentacles here, you know, again, we're talking about somebody who may be a little bit too dominant, a little bit too pushy, expecting a little bit too much. With the Eight of Swords, you're talking about being uncomfortable with the relationship, being uncomfortable with this person. Okay, but clearly you may be dealing with somebody that you already have a history with. And I think that codependency is showing that, you know, you may be enabling in a way that maybe you shouldn't, right? I think that this isn't something that I worry a little bit, because I want to say to you, Sag, that if this is about a person that you're constantly on and off with, I don't think that this is a relationship that you should get invested in again because of codependency being there. I think that you need to give yourself a chance here and maybe open up to a different experience or a new person. And again, right, it's general. It's only going to be for those of you who are dealing with this situation. But very clearly you're coming into this not being comfortable with how pushy someone is. Now, With the Page of Pentacles, we're talking about a relationship that goes sour, and there's bitterness between you. And with Justice, somebody may be trying to make this right, but, you know, is somebody still hanging on to some bitter feelings that they may have because they wanted you to do something that you weren't comfortable with, that may have caused an ending in the relationship before? Are they trying to make it right now? But, you know, I question on whether or not somebody is letting this go. Then you move into the Seven of Cups, where we're talking about the fantasy that's still there between you and this person, right? Somebody's still fantasizing about the relationship. You are. And with the Two of Cups, it's being actualized. And again, there's the connection there between the two of you, right? It's like a relationship we just can't let go of because you keep going back to that place in your mind, despite the fact that you've had these issues before. So yeah, there's the healing of the relationship, yes, because you keep going back to this place. That, or it's about the other person here that's wanting to heal the relationship because they want to have this connection with you, which can be the case. But we can't fall back into that kind of pattern here where emotionally you only feel comfortable with this person, because that is emotional codependency, right? Or like I said, it could be the other way around. I don't like the fact that codependency is crowning all of this. So now, as far as addictions, that may have been the problem before, especially if you're talking about somebody who's a little bit too overindulgent in either drugs or alcohol, which could be the case, right? And you may have, you know, not willingly have been an enabler here, but I think that it's deeper than that. Now, very clearly, they don't want to approach the subject again, but they do, but they're hesitating because they realize that pushing the issue makes you uncomfortable. So they may be trying a different tactic with you. Unfortunately, there's still the bitterness, but there's also the doubt that things are going to be corrected. Now, if this person is really trying to make up for issues that they may have had in the past, you may be overcoming that. But there does look like there's going to be healing with this, because you just can't let go of the connection. Your mind goes back to that place with this person. And this may be a separate issue. Not that they're forcing themselves on you, but they may be trying to force you to do something that you're not comfortable with. And that may have caused like a split up between the two of you before in the past, but it's still clearly very much an issue coming forward, but they're wanting to approach you in a very different way now. But, you know, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they will fix things with Justice. So now, of course, I'm wondering, what is the issue that needs to be healed? Now, it could be, though, that you are in a relationship here where you've been constantly putting yourself out there, but now you're becoming more the Queen of Pentacles again, whether you're male or female, where you feel like, fine, I'm not going to put myself out there for you anymore because you're clearly not giving me anything that's making me happy. I can do that on my own. Now, with the Page of Cups here, we're talking about somebody who is having a hard time expressing the way that they feel. And the way that they feel is that this relationship makes me feel whole, makes me feel complete. The problem is that no matter how many times you kind of like try to put yourself out there to get their attention, they're just not getting it. It's like, hello, you know. Now, on the other hand, it could be that this person is having a hard time describing the way that they feel. And it's not that they're not noticing you. It's just that they may have a hard time expressing their own emotions. But I still think that there is, you know, some kind of issue here that needs to be talked about that caused this in the first place. Now, with the Eight of Wands, you move into a place where you start enjoying each other a little bit more. But with the Queen of Wands, you know, again, whether you're male or female, I think that you may be holding yourself back a little bit and not giving all of yourself to this person just yet, right? But you're just kind of enjoying how things are right now. You're not in any rush to try to see where, you know, the situation is going to go or anything like that. We're just enjoying things. So you may be taking like a minute to yourself here. You may be just enjoying, you know, the way the relationship is right now, but you are definitely holding a part of yourself back, because I think that the way that you come into this is the way that you move out. If we don't heal these issues, then I think that there is very much a part of you that may be considering on whether or not this is the kind of relationship that is right for you. So with the Fool, we're talking about, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to move on then. If every time I put myself out there for you and you're not, you know, giving me any kind of attention, then maybe it's time for you to move on. Because if you feel like, well, I'm just, you know, taking care of myself here, maybe I need to take a different path. And with the High Priestess, this may be something that you've been keeping to yourself here. Now, the thing that gets me is that this is a relationship that, you know, makes the both of you feel good, right? I mean, that's really what this is about. It's a relationship that is very complete for the both of you. Unfortunately, like I said, somebody is having a hard time expressing emotions in the way that they feel. And it's like, all right, spit it out, Junior. Let's go, right? But with the High Priestess, we're needing to reveal the things that have been kept secret, especially in terms of emotions. Now, that could be you or the other person here who is struggling to do this. Regardless, you move into this place where you just kind of enjoy things the way that they are, but you're not giving your full self to this because you're looking at it like this isn't what I envisioned in terms of this relationship. You know, do you go back to a place where you think about leaving this or moving on? Or can the issues be healed if you gave it time?